You've probably noticed it. More and more men are staying single for years, even when deep down they crave connection. It's not because they don't want love. It's because modern relationships have become a battlefield where the rules keep changing, and most men are too tired to keep up. What I'm about to share will make you see why so many men are choosing silence, solitude, and self-respect over chaos, and why, in many ways, women are unknowingly to blame. Before we go deeper, listen. If you're the kind of man who's tired of being misunderstood, used, or made to feel like he's never enough, then this channel is for you. Make sure you subscribe, because what we talk about here will shift how you see women, relationships, and yourself forever. Now let's begin. It starts quietly. A man enters a relationship with good intentions. He gives his time, effort, loyalty, sometimes even his soul. But what happens next breaks him in ways he never expected. He learns that being nice doesn't make her stay, that loving her more doesn't stop her from losing interest, and that emotional availability, the thing women say they want, often makes her pull away. After one heartbreak, maybe two, he starts to change. He becomes cautious, guarded. He still wants love, but the idea of opening up again feels dangerous. And slowly, he begins to realize a hard truth, that in today's world, men are punished for being sincere. You see, the modern dating landscape has flipped. For centuries, men chased, provided, protected. Women chose based on character, stability, and consistency. But now, validation, attention, and short-term excitement dominate everything. Many women, not all, but many, have learned to weaponize attention, to test men not out of love, but out of ego, to compete with each other through who can win the best man, only to lose interest once he's secured. This leaves countless men confused and detached. They stop chasing, they stop trusting, they start thinking, what's the point? Let's be honest, it's not just heartbreak that drives men away from relationships. It's the psychological games, the silent tests, the emotional manipulation masked as standards. Think about it. A man texts her good morning. She leaves him on read just to see if he'll double text. He plans a date. She cancels last minute to see how he reacts. He opens up about his struggles. She starts losing attraction, calling him weak. This is the kind of behavior that breaks something deep in a man's spirit. It's not that men fear women. It's that they fear losing themselves in the process of trying to be loved by them. But here's the part most people don't want to admit. Many women test men not out of cruelty, but out of insecurity. Deep down, they're afraid of being hurt, afraid of losing control, afraid of surrendering to a man who might betray them. So they try to stay in power by keeping him uncertain, by creating emotional distance, by never fully letting him in. The problem is, this defense mechanism kills the very connection they crave. And men notice. So what happens next? He starts to withdraw. He begins to prefer peace over passion. He works out, builds his business, travels, focuses on himself, because solitude has fewer risks. There's no betrayal in solitude, no silent treatments, no walking on eggshells, just clarity and calm. But society doesn't understand this kind of man. They call him cold, detached, emotionally unavailable, when in reality, he's simply protecting himself from a system that punishes vulnerability and rewards manipulation. Now, let's go deeper. Men don't just stay single because of fear. They stay single because of patterns. Every time a man gives too much and gets too little, he learns something. Every time he's blamed for something he didn't do, he builds another wall. Every time he's gaslit into believing he's the problem, he starts to trust himself less. And eventually he decides, never again. But here's the irony. The more men withdraw, the more women complain that men aren't emotionally available anymore. Yet few ask why. Because to understand that, they'd have to face an uncomfortable truth, that the emotional damage women cause through tests, indifference, and unrealistic expectations has consequences. That when a good man walks away, it's not because he stopped loving, it's because he stopped feeling safe. Let's be clear, not all women are toxic, but the culture, the environment, rewards the worst kind of behavior. Social media encourages women to play games, to seek attention, to keep options open, just in case. The result? Even genuine women start acting defensive, competitive, and detached. So when a man finally meets someone sincere, he can't even recognize it anymore. His guard is too high. He assumes everyone's playing a game. And that's the tragedy. Men and women are drifting apart not because they hate each other, but because they no longer trust each other. There's a quiet loneliness growing among men today. You see it in the gym, in late-night scrolls, in empty apartments. Men who could have loved deeply now spend their nights in silence. They've replaced connection with control, because at least control doesn't hurt. And yet, deep down, every man still hopes for that one woman who gets it, who doesn't compete, doesn't test, doesn't play games, who simply understands that peace is the most masculine form of love. If you've ever been that man, tired, distant, trying to make sense of everything, you're not alone. The world might call you emotionally unavailable, but what you really are is self-protective. You've seen too much, felt too much, and given too much. And you're done wasting energy on people who can't reciprocate. So when people ask, why are so many men staying single? The answer isn't just fear or loneliness, it's wisdom. Hard-earned, battle-tested wisdom. And if you're still here watching this, it means you're not broken. You're awake. You've learned that love isn't about chasing approval. It's about peace, respect, and authenticity. If that resonates, make sure you subscribe. Because this channel is where men like you learn to rise above the noise, to understand women's psychology, and to never lose themselves trying to please anyone again. Part 2 is where it gets deeper. We'll uncover the hidden psychology behind this modern shift, and why the smartest men have stopped playing the game entirely. You know what's interesting? When a man chooses to stay single, people think he's lonely. But what they don't understand is that solitude isn't always sadness. Sometimes it's strategy. Men today are observing everything. They're seeing how the dating landscape has turned into a marketplace of validation, not connection. And they're quietly opting out, not because they can't find love, but because they refuse to compete for it anymore. See, the truth is, the more a man values peace, the less he's willing to tolerate emotional chaos. And that's exactly why so many men are walking away. Let's break it down. When you strip away the noise, you find a psychological reality at play. Many women no longer understand what truly attracts a man long-term. They think beauty, independence, or confidence are enough. But men who've seen the dark side of relationships know that the most attractive quality a woman can have is emotional safety. It's not her looks, it's not her status, it's not how many followers she has, it's how she makes a man feel. A woman who listens without judgment, who respects his time, who doesn't use silence or withdrawal as a weapon, that woman is rare. And when a man meets her, he feels something he hasn't felt in years: calmness. But sadly, that kind of woman has become almost mythical. Instead, what most men experience today is performance, endless testing, comparison, and subtle manipulation disguised as standards. You see, women today are told they can have everything: independence, attention, admiration, without giving much in return. But real relationships don't work that way. When one side plays power games, the other side eventually stops playing altogether. And that's where we are now. A generation of men who've lost interest in chasing women because they've realized peace of mind is priceless. But here's what makes this even more painful. Even when men explain their reasons, they're still blamed. When a man says he's tired of games, he's called insecure. When he sets boundaries, he's called controlling. When he focuses on himself, he's accused of avoiding commitment. No one asks why he feels that way. No one sees that he's reacting to a system that taught him love equals sacrifice, even when the other person doesn't meet him halfway. That's the hidden wound behind modern masculinity. Men are expected to protect, provide, understand, and lead. But rarely are they protected, understood, or appreciated. And when that realization finally hits, something shifts inside them. They stop trying to be the perfect man. They stop explaining themselves. They stop chasing. Because chasing love in a world that rewards manipulation only leads to pain. Let's talk psychology. Women are naturally wired to test. Not because they're cruel, but because they seek reassurance. In healthy dynamics, these tests are small and subtle, ways of confirming a man's strength, consistency, and emotional stability. But when those tests become constant, extreme, or manipulative, they push men away. And that's what's happening now. Men are tired of being treated like emotional experiments. A man might forgive one test, even two, but when he realizes she's not testing his strength, she's testing his limits, he starts to detach. This is where the modern breakdown begins. Men used to find value in relationships because it gave them purpose. Now, they find value in isolation because it gives them clarity. You can feel it everywhere. In the rising number of single men, in online communities of men rediscovering discipline and purpose, in conversations about stoicism and emotional control. Men aren't turning bitter, they're turning aware. They've realized that peace isn't found in chasing love. It's found in mastering yourself. And ironically, this new awareness makes them even more desirable because women sense it. A man who's detached from validation becomes magnetic. He's not easily swayed. He's calm, grounded, focused. But here's where things twist again. When women can't manipulate that kind of man emotionally, they start labeling him as cold or emotionally unavailable. When in truth, he's just done giving energy to things that drain him. This dynamic creates a strange cycle. The more men withdraw, the more women act out for attention. The more women act out, the more men pull away. And in the middle of all this, something sacred gets lost: understanding. Both sides are reacting to pain, but no one's healing it. Women feel men don't care anymore. Men feel women don't appreciate them anymore. But here's the reality most men have learned the hard way. When you give your best and still end up blamed, ghosted, or replaced, you learn to protect your energy. And that's not bitterness. That's emotional intelligence. That's why many men have embraced Stoicism. Not as a way to suppress emotions, but to control them, to stop reacting, to stop being manipulated by temporary feelings. Because when you're calm, when you're stable, when you refuse to argue, guilt trip, or chase, that's when your power returns. So, yes, women are partly to blame for this shift, but not because they're evil or broken. It's because the modern world rewards attention-seeking over empathy. It teaches women to value being desired more than being dependable. And the cost? Men stop desiring them altogether. Now, before you think this is all doom and gloom, here's the truth. Not every woman fits this mold. There are still women who crave connection, who want to build something real, who understand that peace is a two-way street. But until men start seeing that again, they'll continue choosing solitude over chaos. And that's okay, because solitude for the wise man is not a punishment. It's preparation. It's in silence that men rediscover their purpose. It's in peace that they regain their clarity. And it's in distance that they learn who truly values them. If you're watching this right now and you've been single for years, not because you're bitter, but because you're done playing games, understand this: you're not broken, you're evolving. You've stopped seeking love out of desperation. You're learning to build it from strength. And that's when real attraction happens. When you no longer need validation, when you no longer chase, you become the man every woman quietly respects. So the next time someone asks you why you're still single, don't explain. Just smile, because your peace is louder than their confusion. And remember, being single doesn't mean you're unloved. It means you're smart enough to wait for something that matches your peace, not your pain. If this message hit you deep, don't just scroll away. Subscribe, because this community is where men like you learn how to protect their minds, master their emotions, and understand female psychology without losing themselves in the process. What's coming next will open your eyes even more. We'll dive into the hidden emotional tactics women use that most men never even notice until it's too late.